The voice of the Mets on the New York Mets radio network, Josh Lewin with Armen Levack on 104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports. Josh, what's the vibe been like this season around the New York Mets and the way they've gotten off to this hot start?
Well, it's been great. I mean, they played well in spring training, and I think the guys just kind of carried that over. The fact that Washington has stumbled out of the gate helps, and they just seem to be feeding off their own confidence. A couple of missteps here and there lately, but they had a lot of bank with a 10-0 homestand right before that.
You bring up Washington. Like, how real is Washington's stumble, and how real is the Mets' great start?
Well, Washington will get better. I mean, they have to. They'll get Anthony Rendon back, and Worth and Zimmerman are not going to hit 190 all year, and they had an amazing win yesterday that who knows might spark them. They were down 9-1, they came back to win. So. Their pitching's amazing, but their bullpen's a mess. Their starters are great, but they're having bullpen issues like a lot of teams. So I think the point of Washington's slow start is simply just to expose that they're not some juggernaut that's going to win the game win the division by double-digit games here. They're flawed just like everybody else, and it shows you that if the Mets kind of mind their P's and Q's, they got a shot.
Armen Levack, 104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports with my buddy, voice of the Mets, Josh Lewin. Josh, the Mets brought up Rafael Montero last night in the spot start. They have had attrition so far in the season. We've seen other guys step up. How good is this starting rotation for the Mets at this point?
Well, even with the loss of Zach Wheeler in spring training, I think they were comfortable. There was just a lot of depth. Dylan G was last year's opening day starter, and he was on the outside looking in until Wheeler got hurt. So, Cologne's off to a really nice start. Harvey, obviously, and I think as long as everybody stays healthy, they like what they have in the rotation a lot, and it's only going to get better because they got the young studs down at AAA and Syndergaard and Matt, who should be ready by June or July if needed. But, they still have some moving parts in the bullpen, and, you never can be too sure about what you have there. But I think for the most part, they've got to be thrilled with what they've had on the mound.
Cologne takes the mound tonight with a chance to go 5-0 to start the year. How does this guy keep doing it?
It's amazing, isn't it? I mean, he looks like he's, completely ill fit to be on a major league field. He's this roly-poly guy who's throwing nothing but fastballs, and the fastballs are not 97 anymore. They're 89. But, he locates so well, and he knows what he's doing, and, you just know that every time he goes out there, he's not going to walk anybody, and it's going to keep you in the game.
Josh Lewin, voice of the Mets with Armen Levack. Josh, you mentioned the attrition to the starting rotation. Just overall, the team as a whole, 6 to 7 losses, either by injury or suspension since spring. How are they keeping this thing together? Where does that come from? Is that from Terry Collins? Are there leadership? Are there individual leaders on this team? Because they use that word so often, team, in the way that they've been able to stick together.
Well, I think it's just everybody doing exactly what they're capable of doing and not trying to do too much. Armen, you were in Dallas when the Rangers were really kicking it, and Ron Washington used to talk all the time about how, you just do what you're supposed to do what the game asks you to do. And, it's guys not trying to go, 7 for 4 on a given night. You just take one at bat and do what you're supposed to do, even if that's just moving a runner or, hitting a ball, on a line somewhere to give you a shot. I mean, nobody's trying to be a hero. And it all just kind of starts to make sense after a while. The guys are confident, like you suggest, and I think there's something to having quality depth instead of just bodies out there. David Wright goes down and Eric Campbell steps in, and, it's almost like the Mets haven't missed a beat.
Josh, when you bring up David Wright, how's he doing? How soon are they hoping to get him back?
He's close. I mean, I would think sometime this weekend, maybe Saturday or Sunday. This one wasn't as big of a deal as some other injuries as he's had in season recently. So I think he's chomping at the bit, ready to go. They're putting him through his paces, and I would think we're just a few days away.
Josh Lewin, voice of the Mets with Armen Levack. Josh, obviously we are the home for New York Yankees baseball, and the Yankees got hit with the Tanaka news last night that he's going to be out for about a month. Unfortunately for you as well, you're very well versed in torn UCL and Tommy John surgeries, as the Mets have had several pitchers go through this process that similar to what Masahiro Tanaka is going through right now. When you hear that Tanaka has wrist tendonitis, slight strain in the forearm, are those tendencies intricacies of a pitcher from your experience trying to overcompensate with different parts of the body, kind of knowing that elbow is, has had a past injury?
Yeah, and I think anytime you hear forearm, it's a huge red flag. That's usually kind of the precursor to something going on with that UCL. Not always, but, Tanaka was kind of a ticking time bomb here this whole time. And, I think the Yankees were on borrowed time with him anyway. So, hopefully for them, it's nothing too serious, but the alarm bells definitely ring.
Josh, it definitely feels like he's going to have Tommy John at some point, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, all the elements are there, and they were just trying to ride him as long as they could. But, again, it comes down to the depth that you have in your organization. I think a lot of times it's wise to gauge how a team is going to do over the course of a season by figuring out who their number 6, 7, and 8 starters are. Because at some point, you're going to lose some guys in that rotation, and you're going to ask for some innings out of guys that weren't originally in that rotation. So, and again, back to the Mets, that's why I think the Mets are in such great shape. You lose Wheeler, you just plug in G, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Josh Lewin with Armen Levack on the team, and Josh is voice of the Mets, but he also really likes his frequent flyer miles because once football season begins, he jumps on a plane, goes to the left coast, and is the voice of the San Diego Chargers. And Josh, as you look at the Chargers and Phillip Rivers, it doesn't look like he's going to be traded. Did you ever have a doubt in your mind that the Chargers wouldn't hang on to this guy?
Well, things still seem like they're kind of nebulous right now. I mean, all this came up because the Chargers might be heading to L.A., and Rivers isn't completely sold on signing an extension if that's the case. So if you've only got Rivers for 1 year, you can make the case. It makes some sense to kind of get out while the getting is good. But no, they don't want to trade him. They'd like to go forward with him. He certainly gives them their best chance to win. And, I think they leave it partially open if they get completely blown away by a trade offer. That it's still a possibility, but I don't think they were ever actively looking to shop him at all.
And if they do trade him, a lot of it, Josh, probably has to do with the fact of him letting them know, guys, I'm putting my foot down. I am not going to L.A. I do not want to do this. Yeah,
I think at some point very soon, and that could mean like today, or tomorrow, because the draft is coming right up and all those trades will be made if they're going to be made. Let's just be honest about what this looks like and, see if they can strike a deal going forward. And if not, they do have to take a hard look at, what the future holds after 15.
Because you, as someone who's close to the organization, you can tell us the Chargers still hopefully believe that Phillip Rivers can take them to where they want to go deep in the playoffs. Is that accurate?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they love his talent, and he's, he and Gates have just been, they can close their eyes and complete a 12-yard pass with each other. So, even if you grab a Mariota or, something like that, as great as he may be, I don't think you ever take a proven 4,000-yard a season passer with that kind of chemistry with his teammates and just say we can do better.
Josh Lewin, you can catch him on the New York Mets radio network, voice of the Mets. Josh, have a great season at Citi Field, man. We're enjoying some baseball along there with you, enjoying your calls as well. And thanks so much for your time today, man. Appreciate it.
Anytime, guys. Have a great day.